I was wandering in the middle of this city that once occurred to me as a dream. My teen self would be delighted with the fact that we were running around this chaotic yet fascinating city like one of the heroines in the dramas. I decided to give my dreams a life. I recreated a whole movie scene out of the moments as I walked through the glory of Manhattan while playing my favorite tracks from the movie Frances Ha. That movie had made me want to move to New York City a long time ago.
Get things done. I catch the paper, boy, but things don't really change. I'm standing in the wind, but I never read my mind.
So now, when I was actually here, I wanted to believe that I am the main character of my own movie. You may say I'm a romantic. Well, maybe, maybe not. But I also want to emphasize the fact that as glamorous as this city is, it also takes a lot from you. Meaning your emotions and your money. A little premise to my New York trip. Life had been a chaos, and I was trying to get away after feeling victorious over them to give myself a little break from all the drama that happened because I was worth it. I think at the moment I just feel like this is something that I really want to do. To get away from chaos, one often chooses locations that are usually peaceful, places that feel like a breath of fresh air where you can actually take a breather. Ironically, the city I chose was anything but that. On top of that, I decided to go explore it alone. And for the very first time, mind you, without knowing anyone there or having any contacts in case of an emergency. As if my life didn't already have enough adventures. I kept asking myself from the beginning of this trip, why am I doing this? Shouldn't I be with my friends celebrating instead? Shouldn't I just take a pause, a breather, and be somewhere rather zen? Wouldn't be such a great idea because there's so many things that you need to think about, and especially in a big city like New York. But I'm doing it, and here we are, and it's all exciting. Let's see what happens. And we in New York. Why am I taking overwhelming steps to my already chaotic life? Why do I want to go to New York even though no one agreed to this idea of a vacation? Why do I have to shake up things so much? And most of all, why do I have to be alone in this? Well, I didn't get my answers, but I still ended up doing it anyways. As much as I celebrated being in this iconic city, the city that never sleeps, the city that had been on top of my list since forever, I had moments of breakdown as well. I walked so much every day, I was grateful and at the same time exhausted too. There were times when I would be so mad at myself because I kept getting lost and running in circles like a madman. Trying to navigate through the narrow roads, the big city, the crowd that didn't recognize you or wanted to make the effort. Hungry, sleepless, high on caffeine, overwhelmed and just tired. The last thing you'd want after an exhausting day like that would be some salesperson at a store asking you to be louder because they couldn't hear you. I mean, how would they? I also hated that I decided to go in the monsoon season. The storm often messed with my plans of a day exploring, but I'm stubborn. I usually do what I want to do, and the weather, no exception. So often it was a war, me against New York City weather, and the winner, well, neither of us. But there were bright days too. There were days when I'd perfectly camouflage into good-looking crowd, putting my best style ideas into practice that I mostly wouldn't care about, forgetting who I am for a while and why my problems matter the most. I put on my most chic clothing and walked the city as if I'm someone worth knowing. I synced in very well with the rhythm of the city, like I belonged there somehow, or as if I'd been there for ages now. I am not very girly, but there's definitely something about putting on your best clothes and looking. I think it's more about the confidence than it's about the clothes or how you look or the validation. Okay, maybe a little because of the validation, but you get the picture. Such days, priorities became almost obsolete. The worries all gone. As you are in the middle of the man-made jungle, you become more conscious and momentary joys become significant to you. Like most of the trips, I'm sure. What do I eat today? Where would I get the best pizza? Joie de vivre, as they say in French. I lived every moment like I should have. I realized about myself on this trip that I like dissolving into crowds for some reason. As a source of escapism, I presume, I become no one and nothing matters to me anymore. My detached nature in its own habitat. The thought that no one knows me or knows where I'm going enthralled me for some reason. My world within myself became the only reality, and I was what I needed to be happy. I made myself happy. Actually, I think I'm a cool person to hang out with. Now, before you decide to make me a self-indulgent or self-sufficient human being, which I have been told many times, I also want to highlight the fact that there were times when I'd sit in a park surrounded by people, often families, lovers, friends, having a good time in their togetherness, sharing good food, and then I'd look at myself almost with shame and underlying guilt, doubting if I am this cold creature of some sort that pushes away all the happiness life has to offer because her space has now become a new comfort zone. Then I turn myself away from these thoughts and then try to dissolve into the crowds again and lose myself in the magnificence of the city. You have so much to take from everywhere in New York. As a creative person with an imagination, I assure you, this city doesn't fail to give to you. The ideas are everywhere. They are flowing. The narrow alleys, the people, their stories, the old diner, the cobblestone buildings, the subway, and the madness that comes along. The drama, the rainy nights, the scenery, the storms, old bar, the beauty, the glamour, the dirt, the grunge, historic. I can keep going on, but it honestly never ends. But New York is business minded. As much as she gives to you, she takes from you as well, like I said before. Despite the overflowing, inspiring motives the city offered, sometimes all of it just became way too much to take, and I'd find myself overwhelmed. There were times I got lost, without anyone looking for me or knowing where I was. And that thought terrified me. What if something happened to me and nobody would know? It made me feel like I'm nothing here. I could dissolve into thin air and no one would even notice. Sometimes I wouldn't know what to do with all of the city, so I try to hide away from everything. Sometimes the crowd would suffocate me and my steps would stumble as I walk. The chaos, the fire engine sounds, people all over, the crowd, the buildings, the narrow roads where you can barely walk together, the noise, the storms, the dirt, the rain, the subways, and the madness that comes along. Just too much. Sometimes I just wanted to shut it all up. I'd be so grateful if I managed to find one quiet spot where I could just sit peacefully, take a deep breath, and eat my food however the way that I want, and talk to my loved ones miles away. Like I said, I'm not a romantic, I'm also a realist. All in all, being there made me meet so many aspects of my own personality that I didn't know existed. I like the solace, but I also value a good conversation over the dinner table. How I love the chaos and the grandiosity of life and big cities like New York, but also like living a low-key life where smaller things matter the most. But most of all, the time that I spent in this city made me sure that I could do anything that I intended to. I could get lost and still find myself again. The fact that I'm not afraid to take chances and take risks, and to be alone, have food by myself or a drink in a bar, and that I'm not guilty to enjoying my own company. This city made me realize that sometimes I am all that I have, and that's not a bad thing, and that I'm stronger than I had imagined. Well, as my good old friend Frank Sinatra said about New York City, if I can make it there, I guess I'll make it anywhere.